Tap, 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 to tap, tap, tap.
Tap in to find out.
Yeah. Tap in. You already know what it is. Yeah, tap in, come vibe for a minute. Two friends talking life, yeah, we really just living. From anime fights to the games we be winning. If it's nerdy or funny, yeah, you know we get in it. No script, no plan, just vibes in the mic. 1 minute we deep, next minute we hype. Debating who's strongest, who wins in a fight. Then switch to real life, like you good, you alright, ay. Whatever you into, we talking about it. So tap in, and let's get it. Tap in, you already know what it is.
Welcome to the Tapping Conversation podcast. I'm Jobie.
And I'm Kobe.
And today we are bringing part 2 of the channels that raised us. We're going to be talking about Nickelodeon. How are you doing today, Kobe?
Doing pretty good today, Jody. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's only Tuesday, but it's felt like a long week already.
This week is dragging because I'm glad that we're off on Friday. So I know I'm about to enjoy this 3-day weekend.
Absolutely. And it may be Tuesday for us, but you guys are listening on a Wednesday because the Tapping Conversation podcast is available. New episodes every Wednesday on all platforms. Like we said at the beginning, this is part 2 of the channels that raised us, our 4-part series, talking about some of the channels and shows that, we grew up with. And Nickelodeon is a big one. It was channel 34 for me. What number channel was it for you?
That's a good question. It kind of varied. I've had the regular basic channels. Can't recall. I feel like it was 45 or like maybe like 43 in that range. But when we had like satellite satellite um programming, it was on like different channels on those. I probably would say it was on the satellite, probably was about 500 and something or maybe 6 something if I can recall.
Fair enough. I guess it just depends on, where in the country you were and what your provider was. Now, I did want to talk about some of the early beginnings of Nickelodeon. Now, I didn't know this myself, but did you know Nickelodeon began in 1977?
I did actually.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't know that. It was a different channel. It was called Pinwheel. It was a local cable channel based in Ohio, and it kind of focused on children's educational programming. Um, so a couple years after that, that's when Nickelodeon became official. It's when it was born. It did not have commercials, believe it or not, back then. It was based off subscription fees to that to like Warner Cable over there in Ohio.
No, I was just gonna say, to add to that, yeah, they were local in Columbus, Ohio. The cable experience into the world's first cable channel for children. And yeah, it was the first commercial free and educational type of channel before it turning into the big pop culture that we know of Nickelodeon.
Absolutely, it had a very humble beginning, very small. And then the 80s and 90s happened, which is considered the golden age of Nickelodeon. And it had many great shows like Doug, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, just to name a few. And they also started some live action shows as well for children like Double Dare, All That, Keenan Kel, The Amanda Show, even. But let's start talking about some of those cartoons. Let's start with Rugrats, which is probably one of the biggest 90s cartoon shows on Nickelodeon.
And it's like one of my main favorite on Nickelodeon. I grew up watching the show. I played the video games. I've I remember when the movie came out, I had the orange VHS movie when it
Yes.
came out. Like just everything with Rugrats, I loved. I loved how Tommy was always the leader of like the group, always coming with some type of plan or figuring out what can they do to get out of different situations. Just him being him, and I just love how the parents somehow never figured out that these babies were getting out of the cribs, or if they put them in one of those little kind of like a little pet little fence thing, but like have them unlock that to get through and then just exploring, doing different things with their imaginations, or even having Angelica just somewhat being like the bully big sister type role, just always bossing them around, having them to do different things, but at the same time, she loved and cared for like Tommy and the gang.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of I know you're an only child, but it's kind of your typical older sibling thing. Like, I'm the only one who can bully you. No one else can, but I'm going to bully you. And
Mhm.
it's crazy, like you mentioned, these kids going on these wacky, wild adventures, a lot of it based in their, imagination. And you have, like, Tommy Pickles, of course, the main character, talking about he don't want no sponsorabilities. Me neither. And you did mention the famous orange VHS tape. I remember it
Mhm.
to this day. I had the one where they went to Paris, and
Such a good movie.
oh, 100%. And I remember, like, it was either the beginning or the end. They had a short crossover episode. It was like the Wild Thornberries meet the Rugrats, and they had like that little crossover,
Mhm.
which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing to incorporate two different shows from, like, 2 different perspectives, but then cross over, and it just made sense just the way how it, like, crossed over into the, Wild Thornberrys and talked about their family and then them meeting up with the Rugrats, with the gang, and just in that way of it, like, I loved it. Like, anything with, like, Nickelodeon, I'm pretty much sold on it.
Same, and screw the Avengers. That was my multiverse.
No, honestly, my multiverse or another good crossover that holds dearly to me is when Timmy Turner and Jimmy Neutron when they had their crossover, and Jimmy going into like the 2D font form and living the life of being Timmy, and the Cosmo and Wanda are just trying to figure out like, you're not Timmy, like, who are you? Like, you're too smart. And then having Timmy go into the 3D dimension world where Jimmy was at, and just in a way kind of he really didn't stuck out, but he had I forgot her name. What's her name? I think what was it, Cindy, the blonde hair girl that was friends
Yes.
with Livy?
Yes, Cindy was her name.
Okay. In a way, Cindy had, like, I believe, a crush on Timmy,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember if he knew that she liked him or he was kind of like total oblivious to it, but just to have two different perspectives and they go into their own realm, like in their world to explore and to figure out like, why am I here? Okay, this is a total different of what I'm used to. This is a 2D world. This is a 3D world, but at the same time, they were enjoying themselves.
Absolutely. And, I completely forgot about that crossover until you brought it up. It's probably one of my favorites of all time. And if I, recollect correctly, it was like, what, 2 or 3 episodes to get through that entire crossover story?
I think it was a trilogy of it. Yeah, it was like 3 episodes deep of just them crossing over and going through their own little obstacles while they were in their when they were in the 2 different, realms.
For sure. And, around that 2000s era, I'm glad you actually brought that up. One of my favorite shows is very, very underrated. I would have to say Danny Phantom is probably one of the goats of the early 2000s.
I will agree with that. Danny Phantom, he really made me want to be a ghost, to have the abilities that he had, just not only just walking through objects or taking control over somebody's body, but to actually feel and see other ghosts. Like every time he would seem like he's cold and he just throws that little breath, that was just him. Like I love that. To have him have that and then be like, okay, there's a ghost. And then it just goes to this like different sequence of like colors to figure out where the ghost is at or they're about to fight. And like it was just kind of giving me like Pokemon, like in a way where when it happens and then like the Pokemon theme just like pops in my brain when like every time he encounters like some type of ghost.
For sure. And it was the show was very ahead of its time. It was very good. And if you know me in person, you know I like vocal stems. I'll uh I'll fixate on like words that sound audibly pleasing. And like I would just go around the house as a kid going, he's a phantom.
Danny Phantom, Phantom.
And of course we can't talk about animated Nickelodeon without talking about the probably the longest running, most popular cartoon of all time, like children's cartoon, which is SpongeBob SquarePants.
Hmm.
The the weight it still has in our culture today is outstanding with the memes, and you'll hear something and you recollect, and all of a sudden you're transported back to watching that one episode. There's always an episode that relates to anything.
I agree. You saying about the vocal stems, SpongeBob is one of my main vocal stems. I am always quoting SpongeBob no matter where I am at. If I'm hanging out with friends and we're playing card games, I'm always talking about. So there was probably we'll say 2 weekends ago, we was hanging out with some friends and we was playing. I think it was Yahtzee or Farkle. So it has like the dices and stuff. So when I got the dice in my hand, I'm just saying escalator, 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 escalator. Eels, eels. I'm just sitting there just quoting that, and one of my buddies is just looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "SpongeBob." And because he's a little bit of the older generation, he's just like, "I've already like by the time you was a kid, I was already like a full-fledged adult. That was not my thing." And I'm like, "Man, I can quote SpongeBob all day. Like you have no idea that the love that I have for SpongeBob and that in a way it's part of me. Like it's just the early SpongeBob, like the early 90s up to like the
Hmm.
2000s, SpongeBob was just peak. It was just everything. And then even the movie where he was on the back of David Hasselhoff. I just thought that was
Yes.
so funny too cuz just on the back of David Hasselhoff and he's just going away in the water, just looking like a boat, just doing his thing. And I'm like, you got SpongeBob and Patrick sitting on his lower back, and they're just being goofy, just breaking another like fourth wall, just being themselves, basically.
For sure. And like, going back to those vocal stems, I guess I'll be playing like Magic the Gathering or something with friends, and it'll be like boring as hell. Like it'll be like not really boring, but serious. Everybody's kind of trying to strategize, and I'll hit everybody with a "Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?" Another one, like especially when I'm playing Magic, I stim a lot when playing Magic because ADHD be like, but I'll be like, "I'm Dirty Dan."
No, I'm Dirty Dan. Which one of you's a real Dirty Dan? Raise his hand. Okay, now you get yours, Pinhead Larry.
But
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
100%, it's been proven. I've seen a TikTok about it. But
Mm,
you know, going into some of those live action shows in the early 2000s, like Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, like Ned's Declassified or
mhm,
iCarly. Like Drake and Josh was peak for me. It was one of my favorite shows. I had to watch every
mhm.
episode.
See, for me, Drake and Josh, I love Drake and Josh, but for me, one of my main live action ones that I really grew up with was All That. Like All That, you had
All that.
Keenan and Kel on there, Amanda Bynes on there, other funny comedians that were on one show and just being goofy, having crazy funny jokes, just being
Hmm.
themselves. Then having Keenan and Kel have their own spinoff and have like their own show and I watched that I don't know how many times. I can go back today and just rewatch all of Kenan Kel and just watch it like it's like the first time that I watched something. Same as Guts. If you remember Guts, the early 92 that it came out, it was in a way kind of like um I think it was called Ninja Storm or not Ninja Storm, but American something, but like it's where they have like all these different obstacles and they run and they go through all these obstacles, climbing stuff, hanging, doing this and doing that. I love Guts how it was. If I
Hmm.
remember correctly, I think it had a creepy statue that to this day
The
it
gargoyle?
petrified me as a kid. Yes,
Yes.
that thing petrified me as a kid because I really thought that was like a actual real thing. So seeing that as a kid and it was talking and then it had the red eyes, they were glowing and blinking, and I was like, no, that thing is freaking me out.
I remember that, dude. The red eyes and like the smoke that would come through it as well. And
Yeah, like that thing was so creepy.
yes, for sure. Definitely nightmares were had. But I remember Guts. Now that you bring it up, do you remember like I want to say it was still Guts where they had the platform. They also had like puzzles on the show, right? Where you had to like memorize the floor
Yes.
pattern and walk it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. Yes, I remember Guts. Dude, I completely forgot about it until now.
There was a lot of good live action shows on Nickelodeon. Like that was one of them. Double Dare, another
Hmm.
gaming platform show where they do different obstacles and answering questions to get through like the next obstacle. Like just a lot of brain teasers that just either make you think and have you try to exceed it, or a lot of physical stuff that has you really like on your feet so you can get to like the next obstacle. Oh no, I was just going to say if you could go back to one of those live action shows in the early 90s, which one would you go on?
I would probably either all that or like the Amanda Bynes show because I love sketch comedy with
Mm,
a passion. Um,
hmm.
like bring out the dancing lobsters. Like I would kill it as
Anders.
a dancing lobster.
Amanda please. AmandaPlease.com.
But I wanted to bring this up real quick when you mentioned Keenan and Kel. So, Good Burger was one of my favorite movies from the Nickelodeon era. I still quote to this day, "Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. May I take your order?"
I would like one plain good burger, brings out nothing but the bread, no meat, no nothing, no sauce, just the bread.
Well, you said plain.
I mean, a plain good burger, just the bread and the meat, no sauce, nothing, just the meat and the bread.
And, of course, all these 90s shows, we had the famous Nickelodeon slime. Do you, do you know what
Mm,
happened to be made of?
actually, do not know that. I don't know actually. Mm-mm.
So it was just four simple ingredients. People were able to like copy it at home. It was green paint, water, flour, and believe it or not, it had oatmeal in it for the thickness and the consistency.
Really?
Yeah, and
Huh.
throughout the years, of course, they used different mixtures for different thicknesses. Like um, one of my sources said applesauce, vanilla pudding, and sometimes they put like gum, like xanthan gum or gelatin in it to make it thicker as well.
Mm, did not know that. I wouldn't know how I feel to smell the vanilla or the oatmeal through it, but I always wanted to get slime when I was a kid. Like watching, do you remember the awards that they had on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, the Choice Awards.
Hmm. I always wanted to go there and just get slimed, like just the way that they did. If they read off the nominees and the person that's about to accept the award, I wanted to be just like them and just get slimed. so bad.
Absolutely. And getting to like the newer stuff. So of course, all Nickelodeon shows are most can be found on Paramount Plus. Um, I don't really know any of the newer Nickelodeon cartoons to be honest. Like once I started hitting my preteen years, I was just like, yeah, I don't watch this anymore. So I couldn't tell you any new Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, I'm also right there with you. For me, I think it was I think which show that they had on Nickelodeon. It was one of the newer shows that probably came out like mid 2010. I just kind of stopped watching it. I just watch more of like the throwbacks or a lot, yeah, just
Hmm.
a lot of like the throwbacks and try to just relive like the same thing that I just loved when I was watching it for like the first time. But
Right.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't really even tell you, sadly, what happened in the newer gen of Nickelodeon.
Right. So, but Nickelodeon did have a special place in both of our lives. One of the biggest cartoon cartoon television networks that we watched. And whenever I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll definitely throw on like the theme songs from the old shows like Cat Dog or Ah Real Monsters or even like Ren and Stimpy.
That was a show that Ren and Stimpy was a show that I feel like at our age when we first watched it, we shouldn't be watching it at all. And I love that it had a lot of dark humor and
Hmm.
like a lot of adult things that we really didn't know as kids. And then when you look back at it when you're an adult, you're like, wow, they really put that in the show like that. I would never even think or fathom of how it is looking back at it now. Like it's just so much dark humor in it, and it's so good for what it was.
Right. I mean, a lot of that stuff, we didn't have any business watching, but we did.
And we definitely did, man. We definitely did. Same as Rocco's Modern Life, another show that shouldn't be watching, but we definitely did have a lot of adult humor, a lot of dark humor at the same time. And looking back at it now, I feel Rocco. Every day I go to work, something else is happening in my life, and I'm just trying to make it through the day.
I'm glad you brought up Rocco's Modern Life because I instantly thought about to a few episodes ago where I compared the honeycomb mascot to the love child of
Mm,
Tasmanian Devil and Rocco.
mm. You're putting that image right back in my brain again.
Listen, I mean, my brain be braining sometimes. That's just how I know how to put it.
Well, it's definitely braining because I remember when you said that, and it's still to this day, it just will pop up, and I'm like, why is this popping up like in my brain right now? Like, why is this popping like in my thoughts? I shouldn't be thinking about this right now.
It's probably one of my favorite audio pieces from our show's history so far.
hmm So for this segment, it is the Toonverse that I want to talk about is used in Nickelodeon. A character I did use last week for the Toonverse for the part one of the segment. I'm gonna talk about SpongeBob again, but bring in different aspects of him using the Toonverse. So one of my moments that I love SpongeBob using the Toonverse is when he made Doodle Bob. He just made him out of, thin air, just had a pencil. He drew him. He pretty much came to life, and SpongeBob was like amazed by it and like everything. But it got to a point where you probably know where Doodle Bob was out of control, just being goofy and silly, and him actually taking the pencil and try to erase people or things out of existence. And one of the good moments was when him and SpongeBob were fighting and Doodlebob just being Doodlebob and being silly and goofy. And when SpongeBob finally got the pencil from him, he erased him out of like thin air, just erased him out of like existence. And I love that he can make something, and if he wants to take it away or just make it vanish, he can just do that with like any object. But I love that he used the eraser as like, hey, I'm erasing you out of existence. Another one I would say is the imagination. When SpongeBob had a box and him and Patrick were using their imaginations and coming up with these different elaborate type of games, and they were finding treasure, like they were being pirates and stuff in this box. And it got to a point where I guess Squidward saw them having fun because Squidward didn't like them to have fun. So when he saw them in this box and they just being goofy and stuff, he comes out of his house, looks at the box and tries to see what they're doing. They pop their heads out, just looking at him, and he's just like, "What are y'all doing?" "Oh, nothing. We're just chilling." They go back in the box to hear all this stuff in the background. It's like they were fighting like pirates or anything in this box, and then he's confused, so he tries to go and open the box up again, and he looks in it. It's just them looking at him with nothing in the box, just besides them too. And Squidward, kind of gets curious at like some points, and then SpongeBob tells him imagination. And Squidward's just like, I don't have imagination. Like I don't like that. But it got to a point where Squidward really wanted to show off his imagination in the box. So when they both were gone, he jumps in and tries to emulate and show off his imagination and stuff like that. And I can't quite remember what his imagination was in the box, but he was having like a great time. And then SpongeBob comes back and just looks at the box and sees that Squidward is just having fun in the box. I think that's another tune verse that I like is he took something out of nothing and he made it into that reality of him and Patrick to have fun with. And he can just take it back and then bring it back in again and take it back and bring it back in again. He can just do anything. And then probably like one more to tie it into that. Uh it was this magic string that SpongeBob had, and he quite literally unraveled a string, and it unraveled his whole entire fabric of his reality. Just him to do that and make it unravel in his own reality is just something crazy to have. Like Toonverse is just one of the most broken abilities that any character can like honestly have. All right, guys. So for this trivia, for this segment, it is, do you know your Nickelodeon? So I'm gonna go off with the first question. This one's true or false. Was SpongeBob originally was going to be called SpongeBoy? True or false?
That one is true.
Okay, you got that one right.
Nice.
So that one, he was going to be called Sponge Boy for the listeners, but because that name was already taken from a mop brand, it was going to be he couldn't copyright it like whatsoever. Let's see. Let me see if I can make it a little harder this time. So we did talked about all that a little bit, but for this next question, how many episodes did all that air?
Oh man. I knew it was. I don't think it ran as long as I think it did. Are we counting like? Because I know they like redone it. Are we counting the newer episodes?
Um, I want to say no. So when I was looking at the answers on it, I don't think it tied the newer stuff into it, but I know it goes across all, well, I guess so. So yeah, so actually this ties to all the seasons that it also has.
Okay. So I'm gonna say 200 plus episodes.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. You got that one right too.
Oh, nice. Two for two.
Yeah, so it aired with 210 episodes across 11 seasons.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. I gotta give a really hard one. Um, so for this one, where did Jimmy Neutron get his inspirations from? This is from the creator that made Jimmy Neutron. So where did he get inspiration from? If you can name like these three people.
Like inspiration from, or like what he's based off of, or
Yeah, so I should be a little bit more clear. So yes, like the inspirations of his character, like how did he in a way become who he is through these three people?
I have no idea. I'm just gonna name smart people. Albert Einstein.
Okay.
Um, Me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you are pretty smart.
Eh, try to be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer for this one.
So for this one, the creator said that one third was Bart Simpson, one third was also Robert Einstein, which you did get correct, and then another one was one third of Jim Carrey.
Now that you mention that, I can kind of see that Jimmy Neutron is a conglomerate of all three of those characters.
hmm Like I really see the Einstein and the Jim Carrey, but I'm not really finding hard to find it to be like with Bart Simpson, but I can kind of see it like a little bit.
How I see it is they both kind of like put themselves in these situations. Maybe Bart's a little bit more intentional than Jimmy Neutron, but they still kind of
You know,
they get in these situations based off their own actions, and they got to face the consequences.
Yep, that's true. That's true. So I will give you a half a point since you did at least get one of the names on it.
Okay, 2.5 out of 3. I'm not doing too bad today.
Mm-mm. I really thought you was gonna. For some odd reason, I didn't think you was gonna get the first one right. I was like, God, I hope he doesn't get this one right.
So the only reason I knew that one is because I watched a documentary a long time ago about like older cartoons, and
Gotcha.
I remembered that SpongeBob had a different name at one point.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense then, because I really didn't know, even though I can kind of hear it through like different characters when they be like, or when Mr. Crab was like, Spongy boy, Sponge boy, like I can kind of see it, but I never knew about it until I actually looked it up. I was like, oh, that does kind of make sense in a way. So for this one, so for this one, it is which character, I'm sorry, which cartoon character won a Emmy award?
Which cartoon character won an Emmy? Now, a specific character, or is it like the overall show, or
So, it's the way that I wrote this. So it's actually which cartoon won a Emmy award. It's just the way that I wrote it out. Kind of like got myself a little bit confused.
I know there's been a couple of Nickelodeon shows that have actually won Emmys.
hmm
I know SpongeBob has obviously won some, and I want to say that Avatar: The Last Airbender won as well.
This one particular on this question, it was the first one that popped up for me. You just haven't said their name yet.
Okay, I guess one of the other popular shows on Nickelodeon that probably won awards would be Rugrats.
I'll give you that one. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Okay. What was the
Let's
answer you were thinking
see.
of?
Okay. The one I have, it's just the way that I worded it, but this one I had it was talking about, and it's actually a show that we didn't talk about on Nickelodeon, but it was My Life as a Teenage Robot.
That was the Nick show?
Hmm.
Oh. I remember
Yeah,
it,
that
but
definitely was on yeah, that one was definitely on Nickelodeon.
for some reason in my head, I thought that was a Disney show. I don't know why.
I can see that. Like it's was mature enough that it could fall under Disney. It's just the way that she did carry herself and was just trying to live like a normal life as like a robot, but it fell under the Nickelodeon channel.
Interesting. I did not know that. But that's
Hmm.
3.5 out of 4 so far.
Yeah. So that tells me for the part three, I'm just gonna have to go nothing but hard. Just gonna have to find the most hardest questions and just see you try to get them all wrong, basically.
Nah, man, I'm like Ken Jennings from Jeopardy. I'd just be winning and winning. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you no, you definitely do. No, I will say that you definitely be getting some of these questions and I'd just be kind of mind boggled like, he really got that right. Like I didn't think he knew that, but I'm like, wow, he really knows that one.
Telling you, man, I'm chronically online. I know too much trivia. But that's 3.5 out of
So you
4. How many questions do we have today?
mhm. So I made it to 5 today.
Okay. So let's see if I can get 4.5 right. Let's hit me with it.
So we did talked about this, but let's see if you can probably get this one. So in Rugrats was the Nickelodeon longest running animated series with 172 episodes. Who surpassed them? Like which cartoon surpassed them in Nickelodeon?
Easy. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Good job. Yep, that one's correct.
All right, 4.5 out of 5. That's probably my best trivia showing to date.
That is, 'cause, like when we first started, you was at least getting 3 or 2 or like 3.5, and then now you're just at 4.5, and I'm like, man, this he knows all these like all the answers.
All right, man, you're gonna have to bring up the hard trivia next week. Give me a little challenge.
I do, I do. I'm gonna have to turn up the heat next week for you.
All
Let's
right.
see. So, and this one, I will say, I feel like you'll probably get this one correct. In Cat Dog,
Hmm.
who were their adopted parents, if you remember?
Uh, I don't remember, to be honest.
Ooh, and see, I see them right now because of the movie. That's actually where you see their parents was in the Cat Dog movie.
I remember like seeing them as a baby and like being held like in that little blanket while it was raining, but I don't remember who their
Hmm.
adopted parents are.
Okay. That's good. Do 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 do
Yeah, I don't
do
know.
do
You're gonna have to.
do 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 do.
I give up on this one.
Okay. So for the mother, it was a Sasquatch that was tall and teal colored, and the dad, he was a slimy green frog.
Oh,
That was their adoptive parents.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
That sounds like your
I would say if
typical.
you're.
Oh, go ahead.
Mhm. Oh no, I was just gonna no. I was just gonna say if you remember from like the movie, it shows when they first found them in the blanket and stuff when it was raining, and I believe it was the mother that was holding them, and then the dad jumps up and just does the dad thing, look at them, and it was just like we gotta take care of them. But then I'm trying to remember why they Like they were there but not there, and let them just do their own thing, like growing up and being in the cat dog house with the mouse and all of that. Like I'm trying to remember why they did that, but in the movie it shows them just perfect, like just as perfect day. The mother as the Sasquatch and the dad as the frog.
Interesting. I did not know that. But so 4.5 out of 6. That's not terrible.
Mm-mm.
I'll take it, and we'll both have to bring our A game next week. And that's all the time we have for trivia today. Well, that's all the time we have for the Tapping Conversation podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show about some of the channels that have raised us. Tune in next week for part 3, where we cover the Disney Channel. Kobe, won't you tell them where they can find the show?
So you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on the TikTok and also Facebook page. You can find us on the Amazon Music and on Podbean. That we are actually on, where you can see other platformers on the Podbean, but you can definitely find us on Podbean if you can't find us on the other sites.
Absolutely. So no matter where you listen, give us a rating, give us a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to tap in. Just want to leave you guys with love above hate.
And peace, love, and positivity, guys.
All right, bye now.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah. Tap in. You already know what it is.